How's it going, guys? This is Dan. You're watching Pinpoint Wildlife. This is the show where we talk about animals, but then we also go outside sometimes and find the animals outside in the wild. But we're not going to be doing that once again because it is cold. And animals are either hibernating, migrating, or way up in the trees, and I don't really want to film birds.
I'd actually love to film birds, I just don't have a lens for it.
Mud Puppies and I have a really weird connection because it all goes back to a story from back in middle school. I don't know if they still do this now, but when I was in middle school we had what they called like an outdoor ed, which is pretty much like you go outside, you do some fun outdoor activities. I was doing some type of fishing class, and I remember my friend was like, "Oh my god, there's a fish with legs on it." And I'm like, "A fish with legs? Wait a second, is that a salamander?" So I looked down, and sure enough, there's a salamander. Mind you, I've never found one of these before, but I was familiar with salamanders. And I remember picking up the salamander and showing it to my teacher, and he was like, "What is this?" Like, he was kind of freaking out a little bit. But I was like, "Oh, I think this is a mud puppy." I don't know how, but I kind of had some background information about what mud puppies were, and I somehow identified it before even like looking it up on the internet. And then one of the people who was, I don't know if it was some type of ranger or whoever was working at the facility, was like, "Oh my god, it's crazy how you found a mud puppy, because we haven't found any of these mud puppies in our lake for a while now, and we thought their population was declining." So I felt like kind of special, and then I made the quote-unquote like school news. I was on the middle school homepage holding up the salamander in a bucket, and I don't know, I just had that special connection. And yeah, I guess that's one of those moments where I was just really proud of myself for kind of taking that role of, "Oh, I know what this is, don't be afraid of it, don't harm it, this is what it is." And I was able to show the people, and then I was able to release it, and it was perfectly fine. And that was one of those moments where I was just really proud of myself for making that connection and showing my my education. Even at an early age, I was in middle school, and I kind of knew what I was working with. Just a note to anybody, don't pick anything up if you don't fully understand what the creature is, because that can lead to a bunch of bad things potentially, especially if it has any type of venom or teeth or anything. But I was pretty confident at the time. More about the mud puppies. Mud puppies are salamanders that never get out of that juvenile larval state where they have their bushy gills. So even though they're adult size, they stay with their gills, and they stay in that larval stage where they're just fully aquatic. And that's kind of interesting because some salamanders are able to do that. Some of them move on to terrestrial life on land, and some just stay in the water. I'm not sure if they have like a full explanation of why that is, but I think it has to do with whatever is able to get them the most food to survive. They're probably just going to adapt to being more in the water or more on terrestrial land. So anyway, mud puppies are going to be living on the bottom of lakes, ponds, creeks, and these are living for about 10 or so years. And again, they are large salamanders, 12, 13, 14 inches at a full adult specimen. Now, Firebelly Toads are basically distinguished by the green coloration on the top side, and then the reddish, yellowish coloration on their belly side. And this is kind of unique to them. I don't know if there's a lot of other frogs that have this gradient of colors on their body. This is also another animal that I have personal experience with. I actually used to have a Firebelly toad. I don't know if I have any pictures of it. I was young and my parents kind of took care of it at the time. Basically, they were pretty common pets earlier in the past few years, and then they realized, oh, these aren't super easy to keep. You need what is called a paludarium, which is a terrestrial but also aquatic terrarium. where you have, you know, land for them to go on, you have filtered water, and it's moist, and you're able to provide like a whole ecosystem for them, preferably with live plants. And because they're just sold in like Petco's and PetSmarts and, you know, the general pet stores, they kind of just sold them to the point where everyone thought they were like bearded dragons or, you know, other animals that are a little bit more easy. So basically a lot of them unfortunately ended up dying out, and there's been limitations to importing. So there's not a lot of them in the trade anymore, aside from people who properly captively breed them, which is probably a good thing because you don't want an oversaturated market of an animal, especially when people generally aren't able to take care of the animal. Now, why did these frogs adapt a fire-like coloration on its belly side? Well, actually they adapted this coloration to ward off predators, because any color mixed with black that's pretty bright, orange, yellow, red, it's always to say to other animals, I'm dangerous, or I look like I'm dangerous, so you don't want to mess with me because I'm probably poisonous. You know, you see that in a lot of other species of poison dart frog. You see it in venomous snakes. You see it in certain insects that are also venomous. So bright coloration, it's a way of saying, hold on, you don't want to eat me, I taste gross.
Hello.
Another really cool amphibian is the glass frog. Glass frogs are pretty famous for having the see-through belly, where you can pretty much just see like all their organs and all their internal structures. A little interesting fact you might not have known, the polywog little evolution that they have in Pokemon, where they have the little frog-like creature and it has the swirl on its stomach. The swirl represents the intestines of a frog, that being a glass frog, because you're able to see the intestines through the frog's skin. So it's basically a very subtle reference to a glass frog, and I always thought that was kind of interesting. Shout out to Pokemon, that's one of my favorite childhood games for sure. Now, some species of glass frogs are both transparent and translucent, which basically means in certain parts of their body you're going to be able to see right through them, which is really cool and really unique, which is definitely why they made it on this list. Now, another question, why would a frog evolve to have almost like a see-through body? Now, for instance, we mentioned the leaf-tailed gecko in one of our previous videos. Leaf-tailed geckos have really good camouflage that mimics a leaf, and that cryptic camouflage protects them from predators. Now, the reason they want to be see-through is because they don't really stand out from predators if they're on those leaves. The way the light hits them, they blend into the leaf so well that a lot of snakes that end up eating these frogs aren't able to detect them unless they are moving out and about.
I mean, it's a lot of driving, but... Yeah. I mean, Madison's like 2 hours from here.
And for the final frog for this video, we're going to be talking about the Vietnamese Mossy frog. Now, obviously these are from Vietnam, specifically northern Vietnam, and they have pretty much the same diet as some of the other amphibians we've talked about. They're eating invertebrates, crickets, cockroaches, you know, other insects of that nature. They're generally going to be living in, you know, the mossy entrances of caves where there's water everywhere and it's very rocky, because they're just going to blend in, like you're not even going to see them. The Vietnamese Mossy frog is probably going to take the award for cryptic camouflage because, okay, glass frogs are probably like close second, but these things, I don't even know if I'd be able to find them in the wild. Alright, I think that's going to wrap up our video. If you guys liked that one, smash that like button. Give me a subscribe. I'm early on. I know these videos are, you know, they're not as fun as when I go outside, but once it warms up, we're gonna do that a lot more. It's probably gonna be a little bit more fun, and it's gonna be less indoor videos. But I want to be a little bit more versatile and be able to do these videos and then videos outside as well. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.